everybody, my name is Evan, and I like to draw. And when it comes to drawing dinosaurs, I would say, yeah, I'm pretty darn good at it. I mean, just look at these lovely drawings you see right in front of you. Yeah, I mean, heck, even last year I did a whole Christmas advent calendar countdown thing of robot dinosaurs, so I'm pretty qualified. But, when it comes to dresses, yeah, I got no clue what I'm doing. So I said, you know what, why not just combine the two? And so the first of this horrendous idea will be a dilophosaurus. Except you can't do anything without a model, so everyone, meet Mindy, the mannequin. And once I have the human in place, I can then go in and slap a little rough outline of the dress, and then I can just trace over that to get the much crisper ones, like always. And as you can see here, it looks absolutely atrocious, but hey, what you might notice is that I put the Dilophosaurus frills on the side of the dress. Even though I know there's no scientific evidence for this, but whatever, it looks cool. Anyway, the next thing to do is add the colors, and I will start with the frills, so we can get an olive green, and then just put it all over on the background of the frills. Then along the outline of those, we can take a darker green, and then we can take a lighter darker green, and then we can smudge those together so it creates a gradient from the olive to the darker. Yeah, that's the only description I got. And then inside the frill we can have more Dilophosauri details, like the red diamonds and all the little stripes that connect throughout it. And then I can go through that again and give it a yellow outlining at the back. Then once it's done on the other side as well, the only thing left to do is take a darker green, and then we can just put that in at the very little bottom where the folds of the fabric go towards the back of the dress, and that adds some shading. And then the next thing to do is take the fabric below it and fill it in with this like muddy brown color. And then we can give it the same patterning that you see on the back of a Dilophosaurus, which is this red gray thing with a white outline to it. Next up is going to be the super big piece of fabric, which just gets a white coloring all the way throughout it. And then I can go and add in the shading, which is just a darker white smudged in on all the cracks and creases. But after playing around with a few blend modes, I realized that it looks a lot better in red, so we're gonna keep it that way instead. And now we can use the white that was previously used for that piece of fabric for the little belt tie thing on top of it. And then I kind of ran out of colors that were used on the Dilophosaurus, so for the last remaining part of the dress, I realized I'd just use a solid green and slap it all the way throughout. And then the only thing left to do is just take a darker version of that color and smudge it all throughout, like we were doing for everything else. And then the final piece of that outfit will be the boots, which look very, very strange. But I'll give them all a brown coloring all the way throughout, and then I can give the heels a lighter color as well. And after some more darker color smudging, I can then go in and take a solid darker color and then run it up along the upper foot part of the boots, which will kind of look like the scoots on a dilophosaurus foot. And then the final thing to do will be to change all the outlines to colors that more so match what they are on top of, and then that is this finished, and dear God, it's the worst thing I've ever designed. But nonetheless, we're going on to the next. And the next in this atrocious idea is gonna be a Triceratops. I don't know what I was thinking, but as you can see, I tried to add in a frill in the back. I don't even know what you would call this, and then I don't even know anymore. Just watch and you'll see it later. In an attempt to explain my thinking, as you can see, I added in 3 little triangle spikes that are supposed to be the horns of a Triceratops, but they look so out of place and so incredibly terrible. But each of those horns will get a tan color all the way throughout, with shading and outlines on the cracks and the bottoms. As for the top, that gets filled in with a regular muddy brownish maroon Triceratops color all the way through. And then I can also go in and add these weird little peach highlights that I thought kind of look cool and help break up the monotoneness of one color. As for the frill headrest back thing, it gets another brown that's different than the other brown. Very descriptive, I know. It's a bit, brighter, I guess, if that's how you want to call it. And then that can then get a gradient on the back, which is a darker brown towards the middle. Guys, I'm struggling. I don't even know what to say anymore. As for the little bit of fabric holding up the smallest horn, that gets yet another brown. That is the lightest brown we've seen so far. And then that can also get little smudges and darker highlights in the cracks and creases like everything else. And then I tried to take the regular body color of a Triceratops and slap it all through the longest part of the dress. It kind of looks like it, but then I also had the stupid idea to add in little like stripe patterns going up towards the middle, and that just made it look even worse. So in an attempt to save the design, I tried to put highlights on the bottom of those to make them look more, I don't even know, good, I guess. And then the little osteoderm bumpy parts get the same peach color as before, and that does match the design of the Triceratops, so I do know a little bit of what I'm doing. And then the boots can also get another brown color. This is like a more gray brown than the other browns we've seen. And then after giving the entire thing some sort of fabric texture, that's this one finished, and on to the next. And for the next one, I decide we're going to change things up a little bit, and we're making carnivores now. Though, the Dilo was a carnivore, but nonetheless, we're making a raptor. And I also decided to introduce Manny. So yeah, we're going to make some suits now. It does not get better, in case you were thinking. Now, since I'm the most manly man I know, drawing suits is a bit more simple, so I can take the knowledge of what I do know and sketch out a pretty decent suit outline for Manny, which has all the suit details you need, like little shoulder things, and also the lines on the pants that make them look more pant-like. And shoes! Shoes are there as well! And after spicy suit is all drawn up, we can actually move on to the coloring, which the raptor in Jurassic Park has got this weird little, like, beige part under it, so I can take the button-up part of the suit and give that the beige coloring, and then I can also go through and give it the weird little raptor polka dots you see and blend those in. And then the rest of the suit over top will get the same raptor brown that you see in the design. And then I can also go through and give it these weird little orange stripes, which kind of match what the raptor has, even though it's a bit difficult to see. There are some stripes there, so I can go on and give those to the sleeves and a bit on the pants. And also at this point, I realized I forgot a little pocket, so I can just copy that and duplicate it onto the other side. And just like the button-up shirt, the rest of the suit will get the same polka dot treatment all the way throughout it. And then for the tie, I can go in and give it that little green that kind of matches the raptor's eye, which was the only thing I could think of that would give it, you know, more of a resemblance of the Jurassic Park raptors. It kind of works, but it just looks like he's wearing a green tie, so it really stands out. And then the shoes will get a color that matches the raptor's claws. And then I can also try and go back and add in a sickle claw to the shoes, kind of like I did with the Dilophosaurus boots and how you got like the dew claws and then the little spikes on the side. Except since I didn't do it with the outline, I kind of just scratch in the little line and call it good enough, so yeah. And once that's done, that's Manny's first outfit finished, and we can move on to the last one we're gonna do. Finally. And to continue the string of terrible ideas, the last one's gonna be a Brachiosaurus. And at this point, I kind of ran out of, like, what to do in terms of, like, male clothing, because what else do you do with it except a suit? And then I said, you know what, fine, we're just gonna do Regency era stuff, so... After whipping up an outline, as you can see, Manny is now decked out in full Regency gear and looking fancy as ever. I can also then forget to record a ton of it and kind of just skip right to the coloring. But what I do have is we color in the pants with the same color that's seen on the underbelly of the Brachiosaurus. So there you go, that's the best you're gonna get with this one. And once Manny's pants are fabulously colored in, I can then also realize that what I should do is add some of the darker brown / greenish color that kind of goes like dripping down on the legs of the Brachiosaurus onto the pants. So I do that as well, and it does not help at all. But you know what, I tried. That's what really matters. And since I'm terrible at making videos, I forgot to record the rest of the coloring, but what you need to know is I chose to give the top part of the suit, whatever you want to call this thing, a green, which I know doesn't really match the Brachiosaurus, but it looks better than it would have if I made it all brown. So, yeah, that's a Brachiosaurus suit, guys. You're just gonna have to believe me. Anyway, once this is done, that's this awful idea finally finished, and we can go straight to the gallery to get out here as fast as possible. Well, I hope you enjoyed this completely insane idea. I think my main reason for failure was that I chose dinosaurs with no real patterns. Like, the Dilo dress looks good because it's got, like, the frills that are instantly recognizable, but everything else in the first movie is just, like, brown, and that's it. So I tell ya, if I ever do this again, I'll choose better looking dinosaurs. But anyway, thanks for sticking out to the end, guys, and I'll see you later.